Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the GioMoShow, right here on 88.3 FM, WXOU, Auburn Hills, Michigan, Oakland University, and all your wonderful station identification features. We're not even on the radio right now, but I still give you the station ID, baby. That's how we roll. I'm your host, Giovanni Mosheri, Sports Media Director here at WXOU, and the GioMoShow is your home for all Oakland sports and beyond on 88.3 FM. Don't forget to follow WXOU on our MAB award-winning social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And I'm also on those platforms as well, although I am not MAB award-winning. I think you guys should still give me a follow on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And the GioMoShow has its own Instagram page at the GioMoShow. And if you miss the GioMoShow on 88.3 FM live Thursdays at 6, normally, then you can find it at any time on YouTube or Spotify, which is where you're going to be finding this episode on right now. The reason for the GioMoShow not being live today was a few things. Originally, we were supposed to broadcast a women's soccer game that took place today, Thursday, the 21st, at 5:30. We were supposed to broadcast that. However, due to staffing shortages and we had a couple broadcasters that were out, we decided not to broadcast the game. But it was such a nice day out. It was sunny. It was 80 degrees. We're not going to get many days like that left. So I decided to go to the game itself and save the GioMoShow for a little bit later. You know, we're still staying involved in Oakland sports. We're enjoying the day. And I got to do a couple Grizz Visions with athletics. So that's always a lot of fun. So the GioMoShow is getting to you now at any time when you are now listening. But enough about that. Let's get into the show. What are we going to be talking about? If you're new to the GioMoShow, what do we talk about on the GioMoShow? Well, we talk about all things Oakland sports. We also talk about the Detroit Lions, and we also have fantastic interviews. Let me give you the rundown. We're going to start with women's soccer since, it's where I'm coming from right now, just coming fresh off of the game. We're going to get into men's soccer, and then finally we're going to wrap it up with volleyball. We're going to get into how the Lions did against the Seahawks in week 2 and how we're now 1-1. We lost in overtime at home. We'll talk about the implications of that and what we're looking forward to in week 3 against the Atlanta Falcons. And then the interview for this week. If you saw me on Twitter, you saw me give a little bit of a teaser, and I got a feeling that some of you guys had an idea of who I'm going to be talking to on this week of the GioMoShow, but the final reveal is here. We got Christian the Stache Stelling from Oakland University Baseball, now from the USPBL Eastside Diamond Hoppers, the Relief Pitcher of the Year nominee, came back there in the studio, sat on that couch, and we talked, and we're going to play it for you on the GioMoShow today. You can find it separately on YouTube and Spotify, as well as the rest of your GioMoShow features. But before we get started, the intro's long enough, but let's make it even longer. We got to talk about Bart's Pizza, baby. Bart Basilico reinvented his father's pizzeria business by putting it on wheels, and that means a pizza food truck, baby. Bart and his wife Lauren travel all around Metro Detroit, cooking up homemade pies made fresh to order in their 4-layered pizza oven on wheels. You can find them on their website at eatbartspizza.com and on Facebook and Instagram at Bart's Pizza. His last name is literally Basil, and if you need proof, go on the website and see what the first 5 letters of his name is. Yeah, that's 5. So you know he knows what he's doing with a last name like that. And while you're at the truck, get a cannoli as well. Those things go great with a fresh pie. Bart's Pizza. It's too good. All right, let's get to it. We're going to start with women's soccer. As I mentioned, the reason the GioMoShow wasn't even on air is because I was at the game in person today. It was a home Horizon League game against Northern Kentucky, who the men just played last Saturday, or obviously the men's team, but now Northern Kentucky, they made the trip for their women's team to the Oakland soccer field, and we're going to talk all about it. But we got to start this past weekend. Sunday, they played the Purdue Fort Wayne Mastodons in their home Horizon League opener that ended in a tie 0-0. Let me read my notes again. Ended in a tie 1-1. That's more accurate. We had that game live on WXOU, and you can find it on WXOU's YouTube channel as well. We're now going to be uploading the full broadcasts of each game on our YouTube channel, and as well, we're going to work on getting some highlights as well. You know, maybe a chunk of highlights to go like the best calls of this month, this week, or whatever. We're cooking up ideas here at WXOU, but either way, the full broadcast is going to be there. You can also find the men's soccer game against Northern Kentucky. You can find the men's soccer game against Michigan, which we'll get into those in a little bit. And you can find the club football game on there as well. We'll give a little bit of love to the football team if there is time. But we're still talking about the women's soccer team. Get on with it, GioMo. Come on. So they ended in the game against Purdue Fort Wayne 1-1. It was a score earlier in the game at about the 19th minute. A goal by, I believe it was a own goal. I didn't see it myself. I was working the studio that day, and even conveniently the audio went out at the time of the goal. But I've been told it was an own goal, and in the 19th minute, and then in the 75th minute, Oakland University got a chance of redemption with a penalty kick taken by their very own Macy Warengna, who sunk it in the back of the net to tie the game and give the Golden Grizzlies a tie, give them a draw as opposed to a loss. Purdue Fort Wayne also had a couple of yellow cards in the game as well. Nothing too significant, but that's going to give the Golden Grizzlies a tie in the Horizon League. And then, just a few minutes ago, the women, they played Northern Kentucky in what was a tightly contested game. You can hear on Grizz Vision in the coming days what head coach Juan Pablo Favero had to say about it. And to give you the clip notes of it, he thought that the team came out a little bit lethargic in the first half. He was waiting for them to get that spark going a little bit. And at halftime, he was telling his team what was up and got them going a little bit. They got scored on in the second half. I can't remember exactly what time it was, but towards the beginning of the second half, Northern Kentucky was able to get a goal, and it was a good offensive possession. It went, kind of went back and forth right in front of the net, and ended up going in. So the Northern Kentucky was up 1-0. But then with only, I believe, about 3 minutes left to go in the game, Oakland had possession of it, and obviously they're on fire. They're firing on all cylinders, trying to save themselves from a loss and even go for 2 goals and get a win. And we saw one of Oakland's finest shooters. What was her name? And we saw one of Oakland's finest shooters, Frankie Mudd, number 12 for the Golden Grizzlies, sunk in the back of the net. She saw the goalie was out of position and decided that beyond the 18, almost at midfield, took that shot, went way over the keeper's hands, and then landed in the back of the net. Golden Grizzlies tied the game 1-1, and that's where the final score lies. Another tie 1-1 against Northern Kentucky. I was able to talk to Frankie about that shot as well, and she just told me that she just saw the keeper was out of position and decided to take it. Head coach, he said that secretly he knew that she was going to do it, but also secretly that he didn't know that was going to happen. They want to keep that a little bit of a secret in the Horizon League. But it was an exciting game to watch. It was exciting to get a couple interviews in as well. And it's going to be another exciting game. The women are going to be on the road for a little bit now, as they're not going to be returning until October 5th. They're going to be taking a couple trips around the Horizon League. On Sunday, they're going to be playing Cleveland State, and I don't quite have the rest of the schedule in front of me right now, but just be sure October 5th is when they're going to be coming back to town. Golden Grizzlies are currently 2-4-4, and now 0-1 in conference. Moving on now to the men's soccer team. You heard a couple of these games on WXOU. You heard the game against Northern Kentucky and the game against Michigan. I was calling the one on Michigan. I was in this, like I mentioned, I was in the studio for Northern Kentucky as well. I was in the studio on Saturday, 1 p.m. for the men playing the Norse, and I was doing play-by-play for the Michigan game. That one was a lot of fun, but let's get to Northern Kentucky first. And we're not going to cover it for too long, though. It was a 0-3 loss for the Golden Grizzlies in their home Horizon League opener. And there was just something with the intensity. There was something to do with the game plan there. It was their last game. It was their last game that they would have to play without head coach Eric Pogue. And something just seemed to be missing. Obviously, assistant coach of the Golden Grizzlies. I'm bad with the names. I can't remember the name right now. We'll put it on screen right here. Hasn't done a bad job in an interim spot, but you could tell that at least in that game against Northern Kentucky, there was a little bit more needed. So a 0-3 loss is what they're going to be recorded with. But they got it all back. They got the wind behind their sails right now. As last Tuesday, or a couple days ago is the time of this recording, they played against the University of Michigan, who admittedly isn't doing so hot. I think they only had 1 win on the season. But still, you got Big Ten action coming into the Oakland soccer field. And the audience was there to match that kind of intensity. We had a packed house, a bunch of Michigan fans, a bunch of family of the Michigan players. I got to talk to a few of them. They're obviously very nice people. We got a ton of other Oakland athletes in the student section cheering on their fellow athletes. And me and Harjit Buttar, We were right next to it, getting all the action at the Oakland soccer field, and I learned firsthand that some of the names in soccer are very difficult. My apologies to Mr. Al-Hasnawi on Michigan's soccer team. I messed up your name like 3 times on air, but that is okay. In that game, the crowd, they had that big energy going all game long. It was back and forth between Michigan and Oakland. Everyone had their chance at offense. Everyone had about an equal amount of pressure, at least in the first half. It was a 0-0 tie coming into the second half. But the second half, that's when the fireworks, they started going. That's when they started going. And we saw in the second half, defender Malik Sylvester on a corner kick came all the way across, got the header in off of a corner kick to give the Golden Grizzlies the first goal of the game, to break the seal for scoring. But Michigan was able to get one back at them. Ramos for the Golden Grizzlies was able to get it later in the game. Can't quite see what time it was at. We're pretending it's a live show. So Michigan was able to tie it 1-1. And then, with 5 minutes left to go, in the 85th minute, Oakland University had the winning goal by Donovan Phillip off of another corner kick. Oakland, I believe, had 9 corner kicks in the entire game. It was a dominant stat during the game. They had a lot of opportunities to do that, and with 5 minutes left, you see all the pictures, you see the videos on Oakland University, on the Athletics social media page. It was a fantastic play. We'll get the highlight of my call of that out soon, but Donovan Phillip, he was in the right position, and that header, the play was just perfect. He swung around, he was running behind the goal, he got the slide going, he got his teammates involved, and with 5 minutes left, it was fantastic. It was a great show. That's where the scoring stopped. Oakland wins 2-1 against the University of Michigan in just an electric game. There was a lot of people there, and there was a lot of cheering fans there, and it was all fun. It was all fun and games, and the Golden Grizzlies come back with a win. First game back with head coach Eric Pogue, and you could tell that there was a bit of a difference there. I talked to Donovan Phillip after the game. We're going to get that interview up pretty soon on WXOU's YouTube channel. He talked to me about Coach Pogue, and he said, "Man, it's so great to have Pogue back. He just has that vibe. It feels different when he's back. And with 15 years of experience, I'm sure that you could feel that and tell the difference." So Oakland wins it 2-1 against Michigan. Their next game is going to be on the road this Saturday at IUPUI. And as it currently stands, the Golden Grizzlies are 2-4-1 and 1-1 in conference. That one win being 3-0 in Cleveland State's house. Cleveland State, who won the Horizon League last year. Let's put it that way. So just wanted to mention that. So we're 1-1 in conference right now, folks. And finally, for your Oakland sports update, we're gonna touch on women's volleyball. And I say women's as if we have a men's NCAA team. We don't. It's just volleyball. Giovanni, come on now. So the women were on a little bit of a road trip there. They were playing at the Saluki Invitational, where they played UT Martin and Southern Illinois. In those 2 matches, Oakland took UT Martin all the way to set 5, where Oakland won it 3-2, and this one was really close. You had the first set going 25-23 to UT Martin. You saw the next one have the scores flipped, 25-23. Oakland won the set. The third set was all Oakland, 25-13. You go to the fourth one, again, 25-23. This time to UT Martin. We go to set 5. Oakland gets it quickly, 15-6, to beat UT Martin in the Saluki Invitational. So that one, I'm sure, was a very exciting one to go to. We had Petty Cesarini with 16 kills. We had Emily Wickman with 31 digs. And we had Ainsley Goose with 7 blocks and Sarah Turner with 26 assists. And if I'm not mistaken, Patty Cesarini has surpassed 1,000 kills at Oakland University, and Emily Wickman has passed 1,000 digs for the Golden Grizzlies. So that's going to be a very exciting one. That's got to be very exciting for them, I should say. The next match was against Southern Illinois. This one was not as glamorous as the one before. It was a 1-3 loss for the Golden Grizzlies. It was a tight one in the first set. Oakland won it 25-22. And then Southern Illinois, they went on their next 3 games to seal the deal. 25-19, 25-21, and then 25-20. Golden Grizzlies were putting up a fight, definitely, in all these sets, but a 1-3 loss is what's going to be on the record. They then traveled to Purdue Fort Wayne to get the Horizon League action started. So far, their first Horizon League game this season was on the road at Purdue Fort Wayne, and you get your brooms out, baby, because it was a clean sweep against the Mastodons. Oakland cleaned up house with a 3-0 win. Cesarini with 9 kills. Wickman with 23 digs. Ainsley Goose another 7 blocks. And Sarah Turner 22 assists in that game. Very similar to what we saw against UT Martin. Great numbers to get the Horizon League season started with a 3-0 win and now a 1-0 record. Or 1-0 record in conference. 7-6 overall. And the Golden Grizzlies, they have a weekend spent in the arena. Tomorrow, which is going to be Friday. And if you're listening to it, it might be today or it might be yesterday. You can listen to the GioMoShow anytime on YouTube and Spotify. You know the deal. But Friday and Saturday, they're going to be facing some Horizon League foes. Friday is going to be against Youngstown State, and then Saturday is going to be against Robert Morris. Check your calendars just to make sure I'm correct here. Making sure I'm correct here. 1 second. Yeah, we're going to trust that one. Youngstown State and Robert Morris. Be sure to get down to the arena and check your calendars for the time. You'll see me on Instagram talking about that when the games are. They got a lot of pizza coming in for Friday's game, so be sure to get down there, get a slice, get some volleyball in, get some Horizon League action, and cheer on your Golden Grizzlies. There's no better excuse to go somewhere than free pizza, baby. Come on now. Come on now. Let's get eating. Let's eat over there. Come on. And that's going to wrap up your Oakland Sports Update. We're going to take a quick break here on the GioMoShow, 88.3 FM WXOU, although we're just on YouTube and Spotify. We'll get back with it with your football therapy, baby. We're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions. How did he do in week 2 against the Seattle Seahawks? We'll talk about that. What do you think they're going to do? What do I think they're going to do against Atlanta, how that game's going to go, and what we're facing? Or what we're going to be up against. We're going to be talking about that as well. And don't forget to tune in. We got Christian Stelling on the GioMoShow. The Stache is in the studio. We're going to talk about his career, how he came here from Missouri, how Jordan Banfield became a great connection to him, not only to Oakland, but to the USPBL as well, and how he had a fantastic season in the USPBL, being nominated Relief Pitcher of the Year. So we're going to have him on the show. Be sure to go find that interview. It's going to be coming up right next to this episode, so be sure to check it out. Subscribe to the channel. Like and subscribe. I'm talking YouTube language now. 5-star on Spotify. Look at me promoting. We'll be right back on the GioMoShow with your football therapy.